Hi friends, welcome back to Mark's Speed Shop. In today's video, we'll be putting the intake on the 350, putting the distributor in, hopefully having it all set up right. We'll get a little bit more done on the C10 itself. I did buy a piece of metal, a piece of sheet metal that I plan on cutting out and blocking off where the old heater box went. I don't know if I'll get all that done today. I'm gonna try. But welcome back. I hope you enjoyed it. Please stick around and see what you think. Give me some comments. I really appreciate you coming back. All right, I went ahead on this and put the end on it, the hot end. Went ahead and put a little fuse link in. I know this isn't real fancy wiring, but pretty much most of this is going to be kind of temporary anyway. But I got her hooked up to where I can hook her up. And everything seems to be working. So we're gonna give that a try. I was saying I wondered if the thermostat was stuck in it, but I cannot remember if I put a thermostat in this. That might be the problem if I didn't. I know years ago I used to never run thermostats, and a lot of times I wouldn't have a problem, but I know sometimes these engines get kind of hot and they rely on the thermostat to keep it, to keep the hot water in the engine while the warm water in the radiator cools off, and then it switches. So I have to check on that too, but I want to get that hooked up so I'll know what I got going on. A little bit more on this. I'm gonna get on that roof pretty soon. I'm ready to start driving it a little bit, and I want to get the roof, if not completely fixed, I want to get it started. All right, now back to the C10. All right, I have cleaned up the bottom of the intake, the mating surface. I've cleaned up on the heads here. I'm getting ready to put a little Permatex on the china walls. I am going to put a little bit around the where the gasket goes for the water, for the coolant. Always do that. Don't put much. Just a little bit to help the gasket seal. I put a little bit around this little heat riser thing. I guess that's what it is. That's what it is on my part. I'm sure it's the same thing here. Just put a little bit around here just so it'll seal up. Always remember on these Felpro gaskets to put the striped side up, which the head gaskets didn't say this side up. They usually do. Well, I hadn't done heads in a good while, but anyway, the intake gaskets actually do say this side up, and it is the blue striped side. So put that on there, and I'm gonna let that set up for just a few minutes. And we'll go ahead and put just a little more Permatex, just a little bit, just kind of enough to wet it, so not slush, not gobbing it on and not gooing it everywhere, you know, smoothing it. But I like to put just a little bit around, help stop leaks. You gob it on, it's going to get everywhere and make a mess and get all into everything. I just like to put a little bit on there to help seal the gasket. So I'm gonna let that sit for a little while. Just a little bit to let it get used to its Permatex that's under it. Then I'm gonna put just a little bit around these holes again, and then we'll set the intake on. All right, while we got the gaskets just setting up a little bit, I want to show you the two lifters here. I wanted to make sure they were on the back side of the cam. So both valves are closed right now. It's top dead center. Okay, and I went ahead. I don't have a timing mark on this engine because it's all custom stuff, and I changed the cover and all that years ago. But I did do a grease pen on the mark there, and it's kind of hard to see, but I put a Sharpie mark pretty close to it on the timing cover, just for reference. So hopefully I'll be able to drop that distributor in, pointing towards number 1 on the cap, and she'll be right. Well, while we're waiting for that Permatex to set up just a little bit better, I'll show you my idea over here. We'll take where that heater box was. I'm gonna do a little fan hole separate because it's, step down. It's on a little bit different piece of metal. But I'm gonna get in there. I'm gonna clean that seam sealer stuff up a little bit better. And I'm gonna lay some plastic over it and trace it with the Sharpie. And it's gonna make me a pattern on a piece of metal. And I'll be able to cut one piece of metal. I'm gonna go ahead and cut it. I could cut it big and square and look all weird, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna cut it out like it is, the shape that it is, right there. This one's gonna, like I said, it's gonna be separate. I'm gonna cut that out and just put in a piece of metal there. Now it does have the little studs sticking out. I first thought I might nip them off, and I might nip a couple of them off. But I'll leave them for now. It'll hold the plastic better too. I might drill holes and put little bolts in, but I'm thinking about pop ribbing it. I've got some self-tappers I can run in there, but that's not gonna look as good. But I think if I trimmed all that off and then pop ribbed it, it might look pretty good. All right, I'll put that up there. I know it's a little wrinkly. It ain't perfect, but it ain't bad. It's just giving me the basic shape that I want to cut out. I might cut it out of cardboard first. I got a couple of big flat pieces of cardboard. I might cut it out and fit it with the cardboard and then cut it with the metal, because I only want to cut the metal once. Now I can trim the edges a little bit, that's fine. But as long as I don't cut it too short and get it pretty close, I'll be all right. And it doesn't have to be perfect, nothing does. But I should be able to cover that big hole. I'll worry about the little round hole after I get this done. I should have enough metal done. I got thinking about it, what I think I might do. Well, it might not be wide enough, but if I got it wide enough, I might find another piece of metal. I might put me a little piece of metal on, kind of on where the bumpers are. Bolt me a piece of sheet metal up there, bring it flush to the edge here, and then roll it down. So it'll be like a little bumper. That'd be where I could mount a moon tank also. I think it's set up pretty good. Let's go ahead and get the intake on. And like I said, I got this all cleaned up on the edges and all that. All right, let's see if I can get this thing set down on here without messing that gasket up. All right. If I can't get a bolt or two started. Make sure I got it lined up here. All right, I got these snug down pretty good. I'm pretty tight. Went around them, oh God, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. Pull them down a little bit, get them snug, go around, do the other side. Did it several times, and I gotta admit, I did buy these intake bolts. They're regular bolts. The heads are too big. They don't fit down in the intake, and I can't even get to. They'll fit in the intake, but I can't even get a regular boxed in wrench on it. On the ones in the middle, definitely. And the opening end is kind of fat. Don't want to go on it, so I have had a heck of a time finagling that, a tiny little bit at a time. When I built this engine 25 years ago, I did Allen head bolts in intake. I did it partly because it looked good, and also it worked very well. And I should have dug around and tried to find those to put back in it. They might be in the Camaro, in a can in the Camaro outside. But I didn't. I went and bought some new bolts. They'll be fine, but their heads are a little big. They seem to be all right. But if I pull this intake off, it comes off again, these bolts ain't going back in it. At least in the middle, that's for sure. Well, instead of putting the distributor in next, I think I'm gonna go ahead and put the valve covers on. Yeah, they rough. Remember I told you about these? I got them a little over 25 years ago. And they were rough then. They were rough. So I took them and cleaned them up and painted them blue, just like I did that fan I showed you on the other. If you saw in the picture of this earlier, with the old water pump on it, it had a blue water pump, blue fan, and I painted these valve covers blue. And I did them in the car color, so they had a gloss to them that looked pretty good, I thought. That was over 25 years ago. So now you can't get the anodized gold. If you do, it's really hard to do, and they're real expensive. So even though they're scarred up, I think they're perfect for this project. Now you see, they're scarred up. I still like them. They're a little scarred up, more than like a truck. Gives them a little character. But look at the inside of them. You see that? They're perfect, pristine inside. Can you imagine outside looking like that? I mean, that's really nice. Anodized gold aluminum valve covers. So pretty. And I didn't even wash these. I mean, I took them off. I just took the gaskets off. I still got the gasket on that one, the other one, but I thought I'd go ahead and put this one on, let it be setting up. But just beautiful. Now remember, blue stripes go up. Now I really don't think it matters on the valve cover gaskets as much, but you do need to remember this. If you're doing it the way I'm doing it, you're going to put the blue down because you're putting them on the valve cover. Then when you turn the valve cover over, it's going to be right. Like I said, I don't know if it really makes that much difference on the valve cover gaskets, but that's just the way I've always done it. And that's what I'm pretty sure it's the way you're supposed to do it. Now, I put a little bit of the black Permatex on the valve cover. Helps seal it, but also helps hold the gasket in place. I found my old long. I was going to put just regular valve cover bolts in it. I remembered I had these over at the toolbox. I thought, well, they're pretty old school, and that's what I had on it when it was in the Camaro. put them back on it. All right, got them on here. I'm missing one of my little, you know, washer wings, I think. So I'm just gonna leave this one off right here on the front, so I'll put one on it later, maybe even after it's in the car. Yeah, I think it's gonna be all right. She's shaping up. Got these already a little bit snug down. A little bit, don't want them too much. Don't want to squish them gaskets or bend these valve covers. But I do want to get them in there seated. Yeah, I think that's going to do pretty good. Most likely before the end of this video, I'll get the distributor in. Really, all I got to do now is set it in. I got it on top dead center. That's going to put it on number 1 and put it in. But my back is killing me right now after doing some of that. And I'll probably take that plastic down to the house with me so I can cut it out and work on it down there. I got some cardboard down there, but she's shaping up, looking a little better. More to come. Well, a couple more things to finish up this video. I did get the distributor in. I'll show you that in just a minute. And, you know, earlier I put these little hold down, kind of like washer things to help hold the covers down. And I was missing one. I went to the store and I bought some of these long ones. I thought they'd really help with these aluminum valve covers. They only get 4 in a pack, so I put, you know, on the bottom on both sides. Got the distributor in. I didn't video that, but I had to fiddle with it a little bit to get the oil pump shaft turned the right way. I've got it on number 1. It's this mark, not that one. This mark. I've got it pointing towards number 1. I got it on top dead center. So I should have that all right. I've got my spot there to fix, and I did a plastic basic pattern, and then I took it down and did a cardboard pattern. Okay, and then I'm gonna fit that a little bit better to the hole, and then I'm gonna cut the piece of sheet metal I got to fit it. That's gonna be on the next video though, so be sure to stay tuned for that. So we're getting real close to putting this in. I've got all these little plugs tight. All these I put in, I got tight. I've got, like I say, you know, I put the motor mount on. I've got the motor mount for this side. I took it to town to make sure I got the right bolt to put in it for the frame. And I've got that right here. Got the bolts in it. So I'm gonna put that on. That'll probably be in the next video too. I'll get that on. And then I'll about be pretty much ready to put it on the cherry picker so I can put the flywheel and clutch and all that on it before we set her over in there. Now I still got to drill a hole. I fix that spot. And I got to drill a hole and run the copper, copper hose through for the oil pressure gauge, and a wire for the electronic ignition for that. So I got plenty to do. So you be sure to come back. A lot of that's going to be on the next video. All right, well, that's going to wrap up this video on kind of buttoning up the 350 for the C10 gasser project. We're getting close. We're getting real close. Like I say, next I'll be putting this on the cherry picker and, you know, hanging it there and putting the pilot bushing in and the flywheel and the clutch, pressure plate and all that, getting all that ready. And then we'll be ready to put her in. After I get this panel put on, and drill the hole and get probably a couple of wires, the tack wire and the coil wire going through the inside, and then the little copper tubing to hook the oil pressure gauge up. But it's coming together, doing great. I hope you enjoyed it. Please come back and check on what we're doing next. Now, next week's video is going to be finishing up on some of this, but it might be a few videos ahead that we put it in, because it's going to be a two-man job, and I'm going to need Josh to help me. I think he's going to be pretty busy for the next 2 or 3 weekends. But I got plenty to do in the meantime. I'm going to get back on the charger, I might do a little body work on that, and I still want to do Will It Run on that Ford Ranger. So I got plenty to do. Please come back. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Just hit that little button. Come back to see me, and I'll be here. Good Lord willing. And I'll see you at the shop.